Joseph.
Long time no speak.
Yeah, you're back.
We're back. We came today largely to speak to all of our Muslim friends, our cousins in the park, who've been advocating for conflict for years between Jews and Arabs in the Middle East. They tell us we can't be friends. Jews and Muslims can't make peace until the Israel-Palestine conflict is solved. Arabs refuse to speak to Zionists. We refuse to accept Zionism. And we just wanted to point out that they're behind the times now. In the Middle East, Arab nations are putting down their arms, putting down their differences, and making peace with the only democracy in the Middle East. The only place in the Middle East where Arabs are truly free to form political parties, to have gender equality, where the females and males have complete equality. Israel is the only place. So some context for those that are watching. Israel as a state, its third largest party is an Arab political party called the Joint List. It's 17.5% of the population are Arabs. All the signs when you're driving through Israel are in Hebrew, Arabic and English. There's complete equality. Everyone has complete equality. And the Arab states, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Sudan, they're all recognizing this, and they're forging peace with Israel. And so while the Islamists and the jihadis who come to this park tell us that Jews and Arabs can't be friends, Jews and Muslims can't be friends, they're behind the times now because it's happening. And so my message to the Muslims is it's time to make friends with Zionists. Instead of attacking us, instead of fighting us, make friends, make peace. Look at the United Arab Emirates today. Look at what they've built in the space of 20 years, this incredible city. Look at Bahrain, look at Manama, look at how it looks. Look at it. These are incredible economies, states that have developed over a short space of time. Look at Israel. In 70 years, they've made the desert bloom. They've built one of the most progressive, advanced, innovative economies in the world. And we've got more to offer each other if these economies make peace, come together, than if we continuously fight over what is a historical conflict. Israel's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And the Arab world's waking up to that. This time Speaker's Corner woke up to that as well.
So do you think there'll be a lot more visitors to Israel from the Middle East?
I mean, I'm going to the United Arab Emirates with Israelis on a peace, as part of a peace mission in the very near future. So what you're going to see, we're already seeing lots of Emiratis coming to Jerusalem, praying on the Temple Mount, meeting Israelis, realizing all the lies they've been fed about apartheid are not true. Realizing that actually Muslims in Israel have complete equality with Jews. And they realize they've been lied to by their leaders. They realize they spent billions and billions and billions on the Palestinians because they tell the Palestinians live in apartheid conditions, in ghettos, in open air prisons. They go there, they see them with their own eyes. They see Palestinians driving Range Rovers, driving BMW M5s, living in huge villas, and they're like, why are we giving these people aid? They have a very fine standard of life. And so they're seeing with their own eyes rather than being lied to by the media.
And what do you think about the Saudi Arabians and the Iranians who are dead against it?
So the Saudis aren't against it.
Right.
Netanyahu and Yossi Cohen recently flew to Saudi Arabia to talk with your... Sorry, I do that every day. They recently flew to Saudi Arabia. The Israelis, the governments are talking. Saudi Arabia just opened its airspace to Israeli planes flying to the United Arab Emirates. Iran's against Israel, but Iran is a tyrannical, religious, extremist population. They're literally advocating for a battle, an end days battle between the Muslims and various other people, particularly Shia Muslims. So that, yes, Iran is a problem. Why are Iranians? Why Hezbollah? Why are they in Lebanon? Why are they in Syria? Iran's a long, long way from Lebanon, yet they control Lebanon. Iran is an imperialist, expansionist, religious theocracy, which is a threat to all of the Arab states, which is why all with the exception of Qatar are now speaking to Israel, because they realise actually we've got more to benefit when we work together.
I think that's the key thing. Sorry, I'm Stephen.
Yeah, I'm Steve.
I think the key thing is that the Arab countries are actually realising that their history of hostility and boycotting Israel is actually damaging themselves. And I think that's the really key thing to understand, is this is not just a sort of a begrudging acceptance. Oh, well, we tried to destroy Israel and we failed. It's an acceptance that actually Israel is a good thing for the region, and it's good for Arab countries like Sudan, like United Arab Emirates, like Bahrain, to have relations with Israel, to trade with Israel, to have dialogue, to take the benefits of Israeli technology. One of the key things, one of the first things that was signed between Israel and the United Arab Emirates is an accord which deals with COVID research. So there's things where people, these are common human problems, and there's no reason that Jews and Arabs shouldn't work together to solve the problems in the region. And I'd say one other thing is, I know it's kind of a bit of a marketing thing, but I actually think that calling it the Abraham Accords is really important because, I'm a religious guy. Joe's also a religious guy. We don't deny. We acknowledge that Ishmael is our brother. We're from the same family, and it's about time that we came together and recognised. Yes, we've had historical differences, but we're cousins, and we need to behave like a family and love each other.
I think to add one other thing in there, so many of the Arab states are feeling like they've been stabbed in the back. They've given the Palestinians billions and billions of dollars every year. Hello, we're just talking about you. So they've given the Palestinians billions and billions and billions of dollars over the years. And what do the Palestinians do? They spit in their face, turn to Iran, and take funding from Iran, which threatens these very states that have given the Palestinians billions. So I think there's another aspect to this conflict, which is the Arab states. One, they've kind of been betrayed by the Palestinians, the Gulf states, with the exception of Qatar. They've been betrayed, and the other side to it is they look at where the money's going. So Abbas sits in a multi-million-pound palace. It's funded, beautiful, beautiful palace. He flies around in a private jet. He's like literally taken billions from the Palestinian people. By the way, when I'm talking Palestinians, I'm talking the leadership. I'm not talking the average Palestinian on the ground. I've got many, many Palestinian friends. They're absolutely sound, and they hate Abbas and they hate Hamas because these people are corrupt. And actually, if you go to the West Bank, most young Palestinians want the West Bank today to be part of Israel. Why? Because they look at Israel throwing corrupt politicians in prison, and they want to throw Abbas in prison. They want to throw Hamas in prison, and they can't because they're run by tyrannical dictatorships. And so, yeah, it's time Speaker's Corner caught up with the Arab world, caught up with the Middle East, and started making peace with Jews rather than hating us.
You put some brilliant